don't care if you got a hangover. Get up, kids. This is Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition. Your cure for each and every hangover, each and every Saturday morning. We know you had a hard week at work. We know you wanted to blow off steam Friday night. You had a few too many tequilas. You had a few too many beers. That's fine. You might have flirted with a girl that in other ways, respects, you would never even look at. Pimples on her nose, hair going out of a mole on her cheek. That's fine. We get it. We've all been there, done that. We are your cure for the Saturday morning hangover. I'm the maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the conquistador, Dave Height. We're going to blow up your stereos this week.
That's right. First and foremost, as always here on the weekend edition, as we tell you what to listen to, what to watch, what to stream over the weekend to make your existence just a little bit better before you have to go back to the drudgery of Monday morning work. We start off, as always, with rock and roll. And this week, we start off with a release we have been waiting for a long, long time. Sammy Hagar and The Circle, Crazy Times.
Yep, 12 songs on this.
Bop, bop, bop.
But not quite. Why? Why do they do acoustics and that stupid intro?
That's close to my complaint, but not my complaint. I told Dave I had a complaint about this.
We also have a rehash of another partial that we talked about a few weeks ago. Basically, 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Basically, what you've
like
got.
9 songs.
I am going to give you a buyer beware, cautionary tale here. Luckily, the rock god shined on me at the very last possible second last Friday. Because I know most of you out there have given up on buying physical music. I still buy CDs. Don't criticize me. Take it for what it is. But here is, for those few of you out there who still do what I do, here's your buyer beware. I pre-ordered a CD of Crazy Times. Number one, I love the album cover. So I wanted the cover art. I wanted the lyric sheet. I wanted the liner notes. I get the CD Friday, but of course, Friday morning I wake up, grab a cup of coffee, and I pop on Spotify and I start listening to the album. You know, the Amazon shipment's coming later in the afternoon. So as Dave mentioned, I'm listening to the 12 songs bullshit that Spotify plays as Crazy Times. Loved song 11. I will give you a spoiler right now. 2120 is one of my favorite songs on the album.
That was right up there as one of the best that made this album.
Yeah, there's about 3 or 4 songs that really stand out here on Crazy Times. In 2120, the 11th song is one of them. Here's the catch. I listened to it on Spotify. Love 2120. I even thought the 12th song, which Dave was complaining about,
the acoustic
of Father Time, I thought that version was better than the earlier version. But that being said,
they were very close.
That being said, I get the CD that afternoon. Rip open the package. About ready. Got my knife out. About ready to cut the plastic off the wrap. I look at the back. The rock gods tell me, look at the back, Kevin Crane. Look at the back.
Titles. Read the song titles.
Only 10 songs. The CD stops at song 10, Childhood's End.
No 2120?
2120 is a digital-only bonus track.
Bullshit.
As is the acoustic version of Father Time. The last 2 songs are not included on the CD. So guess what I did?
Returned it?
I packaged that puppy up and I returned it.
Good.
And I bought the digital, which was actually $2 cheaper. Now, I don't mind paying a couple dollars more for the physical copy if I get the liner notes in the
Right.
case and everything. But I'm not paying for less music. I'm not paying more for less music.
That is crap.
So that is my cautionary tale. Now, that being said, we're going to review the full 12-song, quote-unquote, digital version of Crazy Times.
Ugh.
There is no differentiation, by the way, on Amazon's website. There is no mention of a digital bonus edition or expanded edition.
That is false advertising.
They don't tell you. You have to listen. I will listen to Spotify every Friday morning now before I get any CD and make sure that I'm getting with the physical package. That's what she said.
But
like this Friday, I'll be getting the Cult and Bush. I will make sure I listen to them on Spotify first and compare the track listings to make sure there are not bonus tracks I am not getting.
That is getting absolutely ridiculous.
All right, so as we review the 12 tracks on the Crazy Times digital edition, Dave alluded to the fact there is an odd introduction called The Beginning of the End, which ties into song 10, Childhood's End.
Why didn't they just put them together?
Well, did you not realize, Dave, this is a concept album? This is a concept album about time.
Yeah.
I guess. Or maybe money.
It's crazy. I think it's a money grab type deal.
Now, of course, they brought in producer Dave Cobb, who's most well known for producing country albums. But he, again, in many articles I read leading up to the release of Crazy Times, said that he was trying to bring out the old Van Halen sound here. At times
you can kind of sort of maybe hear it a little bit.
I think you get it more in the harmonies.
The harmony,
about half of the songs have those Michael Anthony,
harmonies.
Van Halen harmonies. But in terms of songs, I don't think there's a song on here
that harkens up. No.
There's a couple that are close.
Yeah. All right. I'm sorry. When Slow Drain came on, did you not think you were listening to Rock Candy at the beginning?
It's not a bad comparison. Not a bad comparison. Now, in the end, I did like Slow Drain.
It was okay. It wasn't phenomenal.
We should probably, instead of doing this track by track, let's talk about the songs we liked and the songs we didn't like. Because you and I already had issues where I thought the title track was fantastic and you thought it was just okay.
Right.
So, again, it sounds like I like Slow Drain more than you did.
Probably, yes.
I thought You Get What You Pay For was pretty good.
I really enjoyed that one. That was one of my favorites on there.
Okay. We've already talked about 2120, which, again, bonus digital-only track, which arguably is one of the top 2 or 3 songs on the album.
Yes, for sure.
If you get the digital version.
If you get the digital
shame
version.
that it's not on the CD.
Yeah. And then, of course, we talked, you didn't care for it as much as I did, but I really liked Pump It Up.
The Elvis Costello remake.
Cover.
Right. I can live with it. I just thought the Elvis Costello version was better, but in the context of the album, I'm fine with it. On Be Still, this is where I really felt like the producer's influence came into play. This is like the country song on the album. I could feel this trying to push the country.
Boundaries.
Yes, and I didn't like it at all. I just didn't like it.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. It was okay. Most of this album to me was just okay. The ones that I did not care for. We talked about this version of Funky Feng Shui not being up to. It's okay, but I don't like it because it's not enough. It's not a complete song.
Well, and that's another point you bring up. That's really valid, especially when my argument about why are we only getting 10 songs on the physical CD versus 12 on the digital. If you take off 2120 and the acoustic version of Father Time, do you know this album barely runs 35 minutes?
Yeah, I know. The whole thing is 45. Again, it doesn't feel
just like Funky Feng Shui. It doesn't feel like a fully fleshed out album.
No, it doesn't. We're getting screwed again.
And if you don't have a full hour, I know CDs now can hold 70 minutes of music. That's fine.
We should have that. We should have 50 at a minimum.
But why wouldn't you just add 2120 and the acoustic version of Father Time? At least make it 45 minutes. I don't understand the money grab there. Well, you got to buy. I paid for the digital version. You get less money out of me.
Yeah, it's insane.
It doesn't make any sense.
Makes no sense whatsoever.
Remember the old days when CDs first came out? You got the bonus tracks on the CDs to get you to buy the CDs.
The CDs, they wouldn't put it on the cassettes. You had to get the CD to get the bonus stuff. Yeah.
Right. And now it's flipped. It's a 180 flip. Now you got to buy the digital to get the extra music.
Yeah, because they don't want to publish the actual physical content.
They're trying to get people away from buying physical music anymore.
Yeah.
Except for some reason, vinyl. You can go out and buy a $30 version of Crazy Times on vinyl, and that's fine.
Yeah, no.
But God forbid the $12 CD would actually have all 12 songs on the digital version.
Yeah, crazy. No, the intro and then the Childhood's End did not care for at all.
Childhood Ends with kind of a mess.
Yeah.
It was kind of a mess.
They didn't know what it wanted to be.
Yeah, I didn't know what to make of Childhood's End. Again, I like Crazy Times, the title track, more than you did. Feed Your Head, I guess, is the only song we really haven't addressed. I thought that was okay.
It was okay.
Vic Johnson's guitar was fantastic on that song.
Yeah, that's what made it better than a bomb.
So in the end,
I know.
I was disappointed in this album. Not to the point where I won't listen to it again. So usually our cutoff for recommendations is 2.5 frenzies. If it's less than 2, we don't recommend it. 2.5 is the bottom line. Yeah, it's okay. Recommendation.
This is a weak 2.5.
I'll go 2.5. 2.5 frenzies. Not strong, not weak.
Just a 2.5.
Because again, if it wasn't for the additional bonus digital tracks, 2120,
that saved the album.
To me, that makes this a 2.5. If you took 2120 off of this, it's probably a strong 2.
Yeah.
I mean, you get what you pay for. Is a great song. I like Crazy Times. I think it's a great song. We have our problems with Funky Feng Shui. Slow Drain, I think I like more than you, but again, it's not adding up to a great album. It's not a great album.
It's just kind of there.
Again, I have a lot of problems with this album, but I will still, it's Sammy, I will still listen to it.
There's enough there.
There you go.
All right.
See, I thought that's where you were going at the intro. Is our Skid Row.
That's where review. I was going with Skid Row. That's why I thought you did the whole boom to wake everybody up.
Skid Row's Time Bomb, the 3rd single off their upcoming album, The Gang's All Here. I tell you what, I don't want to say I love Time Bomb as much as the first 2 songs.
It's got a catchy hook. The lyrics are a little generic, some of the vocals, but the guitar work is solid. The beat behind it's a catchy little tune.
I am looking forward to this full album. I am.
Yeah. I am very intrigued after this one that I have a little more hope.
Because now this is 3 songs where I have liked all 3 songs. Now, with Time Bomb, I'll give Time Bomb a strong 2.5.
Yep, that's where I'm at.
I almost said Time Bong.
Bong.
I haven't watched Cheech and Chong in years. What am I getting? What am I going to Time Bong? But it's good enough where, along with the first 2 singles, I am looking forward to this. And I, like you, Dave and I are both big Skid Row fans. Once they parted ways with Sebastian Bach, I completely wrote them off. I never got into any of their stuff that they put out.
No, it was a hard listen to without Sebastian Bach there.
But now this new guy,
he's giving him a little bit more life.
We heard this from somebody in the crowd we talked to at the stadium tour.
Yeah.
Where she said, we were talking about Skid Row, and she said the new album is really sounding a lot more like old Sebastian Bach Skid Row. So, again, Time Bomb's really only right now a 2.5 Frenzies, but that's encouraging.
Yes,
given the other two songs.
We will have a review when it comes out.
Yeah, it's probably about 3 or 4 weeks away.
Yep.
Your boys in Godsmack, one of those hard rock bands, one of the few that I actually like.
Yes, Surrender.
New song from Godsmack, Surrender, came out here within the last week or two. I don't hate it, but it feels like almost an amalgam of all their other greatest hits mushed together into one song. I can hear little fractions, little segments of other Godsmack songs without the cursing. That was one thing that upset me, is that, again, I feel like this is another band that's getting older and they're starting to dial it down too much. Especially the last third of the song, when it really sounded like it was starting to pick up and it was starting to get a little more catchy. And I was waiting for Sully Erna to say, just fucking surrender to me.
And you didn't get it.
No, because again,
it's the radio.
It's edit. A Nickelodeon version of Godsmack.
It was a rockin' little tune. It is catchy. But yeah, you're right in that it feels like it's everything they've done before.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
But I don't know, should it have been the first one to come out? We'll have to wait for an album to determine that.
Yeah, it didn't break new ground for them. Again, I feel like they toned it down a little bit. Not as bad as the last album. I had my complaints about the last album, especially the one song that had like the chorus of children singing on it. Oh, God,
yeah.
I was like, what are you doing to me here?
That's not Godsmack.
This is not the same guys from the first album. Stay the fuck away from me. Never misunderstand me. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's what I miss. I do have a little bit of that metal rebel streak in me where I do want to hear these guys
go off
singing
from time
and
to time,
cursing, and if you're gonna be metal, be metal. Now I don't need to hear the monkey chatter from those idiots that you love so much, but Godsmack's one of those few bands. It's ironic that now Godsmack's coming out with new stuff, Nickelback with new stuff. Those bands that, to me, are the only ones I can tolerate out of the last 20 years of hard rock.
You poor, sad, demented.
No neck tattoos on those guys. 5-Finger Death Punch. Dumbest name in history. God help me.
But you just have to open up.
I open up and say, for Poison. That's my music. That's my music.
All right.
What are you giving Surrender from Godsmack?
Strong 2.5. Borderline. I couldn't quite go 3. I wanted to, but
I'll go 2.5. Just like Sammy Hagar. I'll go 2.5. Not weak, not strong. Just
there you go.
Good enough. Not any better. Not any worse.
All right. Red Hot Chili Peppers. Eddie.
Yeah, and I have been bagging. We have kind of been bagging on the Chili Peppers. We reviewed their last album, the first one they put out in 2022, Unlimited Love, and they were, again, kind of sounding like we just said with Godsmack, sounded like they were in a rut, sounded like they were just repeating, rehashing the same old stuff over and over and over again. And I probably would have stayed away from this song if it wasn't for the fact that it is a tribute to Eddie Van Halen.
Yep, kind of a musical bio.
That's the only reason we are reviewing it, and that's really the only reason I will say I liked it, is because it seems to me that they did a really good job of melding the Chili Peppers sound with especially John Frusciante on guitar sounding like Eddie Van Halen in the guitar solos. Now, the lyrics are interesting to a point.
Yeah,
they make
little...
the references to David Lee Roth, to the Rainbow Bar and Grill,
the whiskey,
to the Whiskey a Go-Go, but I don't understand the chorus. Don't remember me.
Yeah,
and at the end, don't remember what I did with David Lee.
Yeah,
is that supposed to be the opposite? It's not. I don't think they're ripping on David Lee Roth. I think they're actually paying homage to the early Van Halen, not the Sammy Hagar era.
It was kind of confusing on what they were trying to do. But
again, it's obviously a tribute.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole references to Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Of course, born in the Netherlands.
Yeah. Does that make me Dutch?
Right. But that's a little wacky. That's where I'm saying that's the Chili Peppers influence. Yeah. The nonsensical lyrics.
Yeah.
Making references just to make them rhyme. Now, the more I listened to it, the more I got into it. I'm not saying it's a great song by any stretch. No. But again, the guitar work is phenomenal.
The guitar work is incredible.
He's able to make the song his own with the Eddie Van Halen touches in there.
Yeah.
Without trying to mimic Eddie Van Halen. So I will give Eddie a week 3.
I'm going a 2.5.
I just admired the ambition of the song enough. Again, great guitar work. The lyrical references work at times.
There's some really cool little references in there, but there are other things that just like, what?
Well, like anything with the Chili Peppers, leave you scratching your head.
Yeah.
They leave you scratching your head, sitting there going, what the hell's Anthony Kiedis talking about?
Yeah.
And I will say, there are even times Flea is hitting that bass guitar sounding a little bit like Michael Anthony.
Just a little bit.
So, a week 3 for me.
It's worth a listen, kids.
There you go. Next week, we will be reviewing the new Queensryche album, Digital Noise Alliance, as we get prepared to see them live in concert with Judas Priest.
Woohoo!
News about Judas Priest hit last week. Of course, Richie Faulkner, their guitarist, had a ruptured aorta on stage.
Not long after we saw them last year.
Now news came out recently. He kept it under wraps. He had doctors okay to go back out on stage. He had to go in for a second procedure because the replacement aortic valve they put in was leaking, and he had basically a sack of blood around his heart.
Oh, God, that's not good.
But they only end up losing one date on the tour, and it's not ours, so
there we go.
He should be good to go when it comes to mid-October in Kalamazoo.
Woohoo!
I know Dave's going to be broken up about this news. I know this is going to tear him apart. I'm going to find a box of tissues for you because I know you're going to get emotional about this. One of our favorite bands, Rage Against the Machine, had to cancel their entire U.S. tour because I seem to recall we discussed Zach De La Rocha injuring his leg back in July.
Yeah.
At the second of a pair of shows they did in Chicago. Well, it hasn't healed.
Who cares?
Guerrilla Radio.
Screw the Rage Against the Machine. Overrated crap.
You and I seem like we're the only two people in the world that hate them. And
oh my God.
I've never understood the appeal. I've never understood the appeal.
Awful crap.
I've never understood. You listen to Audio Slave when you take Zach De La Rocha out and you put Chris Cornell in, and how much of a different band it is. It's like with Creed. You took Scott Stapp out, you took Miles Kennedy and put him in, you got Alter Bridge, and look how much better of a band you got.
Exactly.
So, yes, I am not shedding a tear. Oh, you poor Rage Against the Machine fans can't watch your stupid racist idiot Zach De La Rocha prance around stage and bitch and piss and moan about white people in the government.
All right.
Finally, one last thing before we wrap up the music segment. I'm still pissed off at Wolfgang Van Halen.
Yeah, for the money grab.
Now I'm pissed off for more.
Uh-oh.
We talked about...
He had to pay for that engagement ring somehow.
We talked last week a little bit about Sammy Hagar. And now he talked about the Van Halen tribute possibility.
Right.
On again, off again, maybe, maybe not. I would work with Dave. I won't work with Dave. Joe Satriani, I love him, but it would just be chicken foot all over again,
blah,
all that crap.
Blah.
Well, now Wolfgang chimes in. And we've talked about the fact that he's been playing old Van Halen tunes in the Taylor Hawkins tribute shows.
Yes.
Well, now Wolfgang says, I have closure now after playing those songs at the two shows for Taylor Hawkins. I will not need to play any more Van Halen, especially because I can't deal with the Van Halen camp anymore at all. Because, again, the question was posed to him about doing a tribute show. And he says, I look at a band like the Foo Fighters, who I worked with here on these tribute shows for Taylor Hawkins, and how cool they are and how well they get along and their group dynamic. And then I start dealing with the Van Halen camp, and I get so frustrated and pissed off, I'm done with them. This will be it for me playing Van Halen songs.
So basically, you're being a little pansy wuss and not stepping up to put your dad's stuff out there. You don't have the balls to take on your uncle and to grab Sammy and Dave by the throat and kick Michael Anthony in the ass and pull it all together. You are the one person who would be able to pull that shit off, and you're not stepping up.
And I think the biggest insult of it all, and I agree with everything you said, the biggest insult of it all is he fawns over the Foo Fighters, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But you play the old Van Halen for basically the Foo Fighters crowd, the Taylor Hawkins tribute crowd. You won't bring the Van Halen fans any kind of closure. You talk about this was closure for you.
What about us?
The Van Halen fans? The people like me and Dave who followed Van Halen for decades and decades. And you act basically, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this. You treat us like trash, like we're nothing, because Dave is a douchebag and Sammy's an egomaniac and your uncle and you can't get along or can't get on the same page. Figure it out, Wolfie. Figure it out. Realize that your legacy isn't just you. It's all the Van Halen fans. It's not just the quote-unquote Van Halen camp that you seem to hate so much. I find it a little insulting as a Van Halen fanatic that he would treat us like this.
Agreed. All right.
Movies in the next segment.
Get your popcorn ready.
It's October. You know what that means.
Ooh,
it's a month full of horror movies, scary movies. Maybe some better than others.
Maybe not. Could have a story time thrown in.
There you go, kids. Hang out through a promo, and Uncle Dave and I will be right back. Hey kids, ready for a blast of dairy goodness? Pick up Sports Frenzy 2.0 milk at your local grocery store. Remember, when you drink Sports Frenzy 2.0 milk, you're not only enjoying a healthy treat, you're helping to locate missing sports heroes of the past and present. Our cartons and jugs feature pictures of Peng Shui, Ryan Leaf, and Sammy Sosa as we do our part to find the lost icons of the last 30 years. And don't forget our special weekend edition chocolate milk containers, available on Spotify, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, because they feature celebrities like Lindsay Lohan, Helen Hunt, and Jean-Claude Van Damme. Pick up a gallon today.
October. It's time for the creatures and the denizens of the underworld to rise. Yep, welcome to the movie edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0. I'm the Conquistador, Dave Height.
Along with the maestro, Kevin Crane.
We're starting October with a couple of, I guess, kind of sort of scary-ish, Halloween-ish type movies.
Yeah. We got enough chills and frights to get you through for early October, and then it'll build. It'll ramp up.
And it will all be good here on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, Amazon Audible, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, and Stitcher!
So we're going to start off. Dave and I both watched new release on Amazon Prime Video based on the Grady Hendrix novel, My Best Friend's Exorcism. It's obviously trying for that Stranger Things vibe.
It is
that 80s
that
music.
Retro 80s. It had that horror-comedy from the 80s, kind of a la Army of Darkness type thing. Soundtrack was pretty decent.
Right. And there were it had moments where it was a little cool, a little interesting. I don't want to.
And then there were the parts where it went way too damn far stupid.
Yeah.
Lemon Brothers.
Now, see, I thought the Lemon Brothers were at least different enough to.
See, they reminded me of the Frog Brothers from Lost Boys. But not as cool.
Right. Again, this comes off as an homage. It's really a blatant homage to all those movies, like Dave said, the hybrid horror comedy movies, maybe a Fright Night kind of thing. And the actors and the actresses tried their best to keep up the campiness. I didn't hate it, but it just didn't really offer much in any way, anything new.
No, I mean, maybe this is something new for the young crowd today that hasn't been there, done that, seen it 4 or 5 dozen times.
Like we have.
Yeah. It was interesting. It was quirky. I liked the premise behind it.
But again, outside of that, little bit disappointing for me.
Yeah.
I'd probably give it 2 frenzies.
I'm right in line with 2 frenzies.
It wasn't a waste of time. It's an hour and 40 minutes, basically. It's
if
fine
you have
for
nothing else to do, maybe background for a Halloween party if you're desperate for something.
And I think Dave makes a really good point. For younger people, it's probably going to be a little more interesting than for people of our generation, again, who've seen that, been there, done that before.
Those who grew up in the heyday of the real solid horror movies, not the cheesy 50s, 60s stuff, but when they really hit you as special effects started to really come into play and you had some solid damn movies. Thank you, John Carpenter.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Starting with Halloween up through the 80s. That whole genre, 10 to 15 years of movies, again, like Dave said, John Carpenter being the forefather of all of those. So I admire what the movie tried to do. It just didn't offer that much in the way of anything new.
Yep. There you go. Well said. All right. I found on Netflix Rob Zombie's latest film, his pet project, The Munsters. And of course, he brings in his wife and his usual crew from all of his movies. Very interesting take. It was kind of more a backstory of the Munsters, how Herman and Lily met back in Transylvania. And there were parts that were really good that brought it together and parts that were like cringeworthy. Spent a little, almost too much time delving into Herman being built. That got a little uncomfortable here and there.
Oh, okay. Well,
just for how long it went, and the doctor and his assistant, and Grandpa was played beautifully. It was mildly entertaining. They kept it the jokey farce. They didn't do the Rob Zombie over the top blood gore crazy. They kept it true to what the Munsters were.
Well, that's good.
Which I really appreciated. And you could tell that he really tried with this to be faithful to the campiness and everything of the original. So I do give him a lot of credit for that. I will give it a week, 2.5. Watch it for the nostalgia.
Well, that's good
because it does the Transylvania and then ends up why they come to California.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you mentioned cringeworthy and Rob Zombie, I was like, well, what do you expect?
Yeah.
I've seen House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that. It was just some of the quirky campiness he kind of went a little too far with.
I don't think he's a good director. I think he gets these gigs because of who he is as a rock star.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think
this
he's
is
really,
probably,
like you said, he always brings along the same people, his wife, and
I actually enjoyed this more than I have any of the other ones he's done. Just because he didn't try for the shock value.
Halloween, which I didn't like that much. And
no, this was probably this was probably the best one that he's done that I've seen. And you could tell that he had a passion for the show growing up. So,
well, that I can appreciate. That's very cool.
Yeah. So it's worth watching, but don't expect anything momentous out of it.
All right. Well, I got bullied into watching another scary movie because I know most of you out there who have Netflix, have HBO Max, have Paramount Plus, Peacock, whatever it might be, gets towards the end of the month and you start seeing that line of options where it says leaving soon, watch now, leaving soon. And I happened to be on Paramount Plus, and I saw at the end of September, I saw Leaving Soon, the latest Scream, the one that just came out in theaters this past January of 2022. Number one, I'm confused because I'm thinking, why is Paramount losing a Paramount movie? Wouldn't you have the rights to that movie in perpetuity?
One would think.
So I'm like, so that's why I really had never watched it, was because I can watch it whenever I want to. Then all of a sudden it pops up last Thursday, leaving September 30th. I'm like, well, God damn it. Now I got to watch this thing.
Well, if it's leaving there, maybe I have a shot to pick it up somewhere else.
But I couldn't find it. I couldn't find anything on that day telling me October you'll be able to watch it somewhere else. So I'm like, I better watch it now. So I watched the latest Scream. And while I have kind of liked the franchise, I liked it more early on when it was Wes Craven, Kevin Williamson involved.
Right.
Where it was kind of like the sly, wink, wink play off of the horror movie genre.
Right.
You know, everybody remembers the indelible initial kill scene with Drew Barrymore.
And then you go, there's 3 rules to every horror movie.
Right.
You never say, I'll be right back. You never go somewhere alone.
And they do try to a certain extent here in the new Scream to play off of that, but it really falls flat. Again, because there's no Wes Craven involved. There's no Kevin Williamson directly involved. This seems like Scream for a younger generation of boring snowflakes. There's very little in this for me to recommend. They bring back David Arquette. They bring back Courtney Cox. They bring back the wonderfully beautiful Neve Campbell, although I worry about her. She needs to eat a sandwich or two now, but always thought Neve Campbell was beautiful. So they bring back a lot of these characters from the original series. They do. The funniest part, the best part of the movie is, again, when they go through the rules and the younger, snarky characters that they've brought in now, you know, act like they're so much smarter, and they start referencing these newer horror movies that I think are pieces of garbage, like Hereditary and The Babadook.
Oh, God.
I was waiting for them to bring up Midsommar so I could just yell at my TV. Are you freaking kidding me? But they do make a sly reference to the fact that, of course, this is the 5th movie in the Scream series, but it's just called Scream. So one character at one point basically says, isn't it really stupid when they just start a series over again with the name of the series instead of saying, we all know? Because, of course, the movie within the movie here in Scream is Stab. The movie within the movie in Scream is Stab. So they're talking about, they brought back Stab, and the new version of Stab is just called Stab. And they're all ripping on it, saying how stupid it is. And they're saying, why did you just call it Stab 5? We all know it's or I think it's 8 in this one. I think it's supposed to be Stab 8. They said, why don't you just call it Stab 8? Why are you calling it Stab? And
why are you going back?
I was like, thank God somebody actually gets it. That we get tired of this crap where you just call a series reboot the initial name.
We all hate it.
That little bit of self-awareness, that little bit of self-aware humor, I appreciate it. But outside of that, it's just, again, I'm not trying to sound like an old get off my lawn guy, but this younger generation of actors and actresses have no charisma, no personality. The main, Jenny Ortega stars in it. She's one of the younger characters. She's the first victim. She's basically the Drew Barrymore in this. She's the one that gets attacked right away, and she somehow survives. And she was in a movie I reviewed a few months back called X, which was set in the 70s about the making of a porno flick. Yeah. And of course, she's now, I guess, the new Scream Queen because she, you know, all she does is scream and yell. Oh my God, I'm in such agony. I'm in such pain. I'm in such terror. She's awful. Oh, come on. She's awful. She is awful. You know, and I number one, half these characters shouldn't have survived their initial attacks. And somehow they've been stabbed 15 times, they've been shot, and they still stagger around, somehow not bleeding out, somehow not dead already. And she's one of them. And she may, oh my God, I'm in such excruciating pain as I try to run away from the killer yet again.
Die already.
Oh my God. And there is a little bit of man hatred going on here too.
No.
And I read this in a review. I actually happened to look at the reviews. Anytime I despise a movie, I like to look at the reviews because I want to make sure.
Did I miss something or not?
Right. And most of the reviews agreed with me. One in particular pointed out the fact, did you notice that every male character died? Except for at the very end, they show one barely alive in an ambulance.
Dewey?
I can't give spoilers
all
away,
right,
David,
all right,
even though the
all
movie's
right.
been out for, 10 months?
There you go.
But yeah, they find a very convenient way to kill off virtually every man in the movie. Yet somehow the token lesbian lives, and almost all the female characters live.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
So it's a little bit of a PC version of Scream. It doesn't really, again, just like we were talking about with my best friend's Exorcism, does not add anything new to the genre. In this case, I would say, as opposed to my best friend's Exorcism, where it had its moments, it was a little bit of a throwback, a little bit nostalgic, quirky fun. Scream has nothing redeeming about it whatsoever, except, like I said, very few funny, self-referential moments. And I still can't look at Courtney Cox in that awful plastic surgery.
Yeah,
and wonder what the hell she was thinking. She was a very attractive woman before she had that plastic surgery.
Agreed. Ugh.
That being said, I will give Scream, the 2022 version, should be Scream 5, a week, 1.5 frenzies.
Ouch. Alrighty then.
Definitely was not happy. Wasted my time. Wish I'd never been bullied by Paramount Plus into watching it. It's going away. It's going away. I should have let it go away.
I will not try and find it. All right. This past weekend.
That was a story time?
It's story time with Uncle Dave. So this past weekend, sitting there, and my youngest son comes up and says, all right, I want to start watching the show on HBO, Westworld. I'm intrigued by it, but I want to watch the movie first. The original movie from, was it, I think, 72?
Around
there.
Yeah.
He goes, what do you think? I go, Nick, let's go. Let's go watch it. It's one of my all-time favorites. Yul Brynner, James Brolin, Richard Benjamin. I'm like, you will love it. So we sit down and, oh my God, I forgot how good it is. So much fun with the robots. How eventually the virus takes over and all hell breaks loose across Westworld, Roman world, and medieval world. And Yul Brynner playing the Man in Black, the key Westworld robot on a mission to wipe out whoever the hell he can. Nick absolutely loved it. He goes, I will watch this again and again. I'm like, I've seen it at least 15 times. So he started watching the HBO show while I was at work on Sunday, because we watched the movie Saturday night. And yesterday he's telling me, as he's into it, he goes, Ed Harris is a Man in Black. He's telling me that the show, not like the movie.
Right.
It's just Westworld. And Ed Harris plays the cowboy in black, but he's human, but he's on a mission to find something that's going on.
Something in the maze.
Something there.
Yep.
And he goes, I love Ed Harris. He was made to play in a Western. Because, again, another older movie, Nick absolutely loved Appaloosa.
I was just going to say.
Based on a Robert P. Parker movie, or book.
And that was a long ago Sports Frenzy movie night out.
It was.
When we saw Appaloosa starring Ed Harris and Viggo Mortensen.
Yep. As Colin Hitch.
Yep.
Oh, good stuff. So we got a couple in there for you on this story time. So the younger generation, all is not lost. They do appreciate the classics. So, and of course, Westworld stands up. Michael Crichton, one of his early screenplays and directorial flicks. So Nick's like, "Can you find the book for me?" I'm like,
"That's not a book." Yeah.
It was the screenplay was published as a mass market paperback just after it came out, but it is so out of print you are not finding it.
Right.
A couple people have it listed on Amazon for almost $200. I'm like, yeah, no. Just enjoy the movie for what it was.
Yeah, and of course we reviewed the last Jurassic World movie, Dominion, a few weeks back, and we talked about how it doesn't really hold a candle to the original Jurassic Park, again, because of the brilliant mind, the creative mind of Michael Crichton, who wrote the book that Jurassic Park was based on and wrote the book for the second movie, The Lost World.
Yeah.
Even though I think when he wrote the second book, they had the movie in mind.
Yeah, so he kind of wrote the book for the movie.
It wasn't a screenplay, but it kind of was.
Yeah.
But Michael Crichton, unbelievably creative mind. You can go back to The Terminal Man,
Great Train Robbery,
The Andromeda Strain. I like Sphere, Congo. The books are better than the movies.
Yes, by far. But
and then they put out a couple books after he passed away. I haven't gotten to those yet. Pirate Latitudes. And now they've actually got, a couple years ago, they put out, of course, as these publishing houses are wont to do, like with Robert B. Parker, they find an author to carry on after the original authors passed away. So they had a new Andromeda Strain book out. I know I'm going off on a tangent about Michael Crichton, but again, he is the mastermind behind the original Westworld. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant creative mind. That
so good. So well done.
Yep.
And as Nick said, Yul Brynner playing that could have been the Terminator.
True. Very true. Very, very true.
So,
and I was always fascinated with the idea in Westworld of the adult theme parks.
Yes.
That always, I thought, was just, again, going back to the sheer creative genius of Michael Crichton coming up with that idea of these adult theme parks.
Yeah, for a mere $1,000 a day.
Right. Again, very similar in ways to our current society where the one percenters basically get what they want.
All the goods.
That was kind of what this was in an amusement park setting. The one percenters get to go to these amusement parks.
They get to play cowboy. They get to play Roman gladiator. They get to play the medieval knight.
Lancelot, King Arthur, and then in the end, of course, they get to lay the fair maiden.
Or whoever the hell else.
And slay the opposition, the enemy.
The Black Knight, the gunfighter.
It's a robot, of course. You kill the robot, and all they do is send it down and redo it, retool it, fix it, and send it back up again.
Yep.
So there's no guilt involved. There's no consequences until
all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, it's just, when you told me you were going to
brilliant
bring Westworld up on Storytime, I was excited because
I was thrilled when Nick said he wanted to watch it before starting the series. And Nick loves the older flicks.
Yeah.
He's all in on wanting to see what had been done before and really appreciates all of those. So cool.
I might have something to pass along to Nick on a rental basis only, tying into this whole thing that he might appreciate.
All righty.
If he watches it, if you watch it with him, then that could be a future story time. All right, little bit of movie news before we move on to segment 3 in TV and streaming. And Hollywood didn't let me down this week like last week. I got a whole bunch of dumbasses for you, kids. They were going to make a Disney Plus series based on Armor Wars, which was going to be Randy Rhoads, sorry. Randy Rhoads, of course, Ozzy Osbourne's
Right.
dead guitarist. James Rhodey Rhoads, who ended up being War Machine in Tony Stark's little empire.
Yeah.
Well, they were so impressed. Either they were so impressed with what they got in terms of story ideas and scripts,
or they're so desperate for something new.
And again, I'm wondering if this is going to take the place of Blade, because we talked last week about how Blade lost their director. But again, these things are also structured in the MCU. We'll see. But Armor Wars is now being pushed into major motion picture production instead of a TV series. So we will be getting on the big screen Armor Wars featuring War Machine. A character that I've always been intrigued with, that I don't think they've ever been able to make the great movie for, is Tarzan.
Ooh, yeah. They have kind of just missed the boat. Maybe the closest was Tarzan, Lord of the Apes with Chris Lambert.
Well, Warner Brothers put out the last version, which was about 7 or 8 years ago, I believe, The Legend of Tarzan.
Yeah.
Which was okay. I saw that in the theater with my daughter. But now Sony has acquired the rights from Edgar Rice Burroughs' estate. They now own the rights to Tarzan, so they are going to take a shot at bringing the ape man to the big screen. I still think if you do it right, there is a great movie, a great franchise there. But so far, again, they've either... I think the problem is they take it too seriously. It's not like Batman. You gotta camp it down a little bit, make him more like a superhero to me than the serious Lord of Greystoke stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way you're going to be able to make it a viable franchise. I think you can keep the serious aspects of it without making it like you're trying to make it Oscar material.
Yeah, it's not an Oscar role.
Right. We don't need to make it into something about climate change or animal conservation.
No. It's just a guy who was raised by apes. Come on. There's nothing
God damn it,
fancy
can't you just figure it out? It was just a guy who was raised by apes.
It's like Howie Mandel in Walk Like a Man. Raised by wolves, comes back.
And by the way, I know you've been working on your basement, so you haven't been watching a lot of baseball recently, especially with the White Sox not being so great. But did you know? Now, you know, last weekend at the box office, this horror movie, Smile, was #1. Made like $22 million. And of course, the big premise about it is, I guess, that these people have the maniacal smile on their face before they kill other people or kill themselves.
Yeah,
I have to get, being a marketing major from college, way back in the day, I have to give them credit, though. Last week, nationally telecast baseball games throughout the week, they had people stashed in the stands at games,
smiling,
wearing these creepy yellow t-shirts that said Smile on them. And yeah, they had these maniacal Joker-like smiles on their... they had one game, they had them one behind home plate.
Oh, God.
The shot I saw, the pitcher was getting ready to pitch, and I'm thinking, how is that not creeping the pitcher out? Even if he knows it's just an ad campaign. Seeing somebody in a bright yellow shirt with a maniacal smile on their face.
Sorry, it just doesn't do anything for me.
I think it's brilliant.
Well, no, I just meant the marketing is brilliant.
Oh,
the movie doesn't do anything. The premise does nothing.
I think it's Paramount, so it'll be on Paramount Plus eventually, so I'll watch it.
Which is another reason I won't watch it.
See, we're getting to this point
I'm
now
a cynical
where
bastard.
Dave and I argue about what streaming services to have and which ones are good and which ones aren't. And he's just mad because he can't watch the new Beavis and Butthead, which is genius beyond belief.
Yes, I am bitter about that.
All right, kids. Speaking of Beavis and Butthead, or TV and streaming, that's our last segment coming up here in just a moment. Hang out through one more promo, and Dave and I will be right back. Hello, this is Will Smith. You might know me as the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You might also know me from Bad Boys 1, Bad Boys 2, and Bad Boys for Life. And now you must also know me as an Academy Award-winning actor for King Richard. Also by now, you know there are two things I do not like people talking about in my presence. Namely, my open marriage and my wife's lack of hair. Well, now there is a third thing you do not talk about in front of Will Smith. You do not talk about Sports Frenzy 2.0. My boys, Kev and Dave, will hit slap the sports world in Hollywood each and every week on Sports Frenzy 2.0 and the Weekend Edition on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, and Stitcher. Just remember, keep Sports Frenzy's name out your damn mouth. All right, kids, third and final segment here for the Weekend Edition. I'm the maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the conquistador, Dave Height.
Taping here on October the 5th. This will hit, of course, just in time to cure you of your Saturday morning blues on October the 8th. We've talked about scary movies. We've talked about scary music. I guess we could talk a little bit about scary TV if you want to call Aliens scary.
Maybe the way it's gone. I'm about halfway through. I probably got about 4 episodes to go.
I'm going to give you a very vague, superficial review of season 2 of Sci-Fi's Resident Alien.
Just please tell me it gets away from some of the touchy-feely crap.
That was my main complaint throughout part 2 of season 2. Because, of course, they had to split it up and stretch it out. So we had an 8-episode arc and then a second 8-episode arc. So the entire second season ends up being 16 episodes.
God forbid you actually run them back to with this bullshit halftime.
You can thank The Walking Dead for this. Because the last season of The Walking Dead has been going on for 4 years?
Yeah, something like that.
I cannot completely alleviate your concerns or fears because, I complained early on.
We knew that we could see the direction it was trending.
It is getting a little too soft, a little too snowflakey, a little too female-centric, let's say, in terms of how Resident Alien has been going. Outside of the sheriff, who I love, sheriff is the one constant in terms of being politically incorrect, being the one character you can depend on, along with Alan Tudyk, to keep things light, funny, serious, and a little bit obscene. But again, and I'm sorry, you can make me out to be a misogynist, whatever. Though female characters in this show, with maybe the exception of Asta, she's sweet, she's nice. You can't help but love Asta.
Right.
She's trying to help Harry, the alien. She's trying to help everybody. She's just a really nice, sweet person. The actress who plays Asta is great. But all the other women are just just whiny, bitchy, pissy, moany, Sorry, but they are. And that doesn't mean that there's not male characters like that, like the mayor.
The mayor is a doofus from hell.
The last episode, I'm going to focus on the last episode just because that one gets better. Because at least we get a lot more of Alan Tudyk playing the alien at full speed with all the.
That's all we want.
All the humor and the off-putting comments. Him not quite saying things the right way and them coming off crude, rude, and
yeah, that's what we love. That's what hooked us into the show.
And again, that's what's been sorely lacking from season 2. It's become one of those shows now for me where I will watch season 3, but if they don't get back to that, and I have a bad feeling they're not going to because of how they left season 2, they throw a couple things in at the end of the season 2 finale that look like now they're going to go into more of a hardcore sci-fi angle. So they went from the crude, funny humor of season 1 to the girly,
touchy-feely, girl-centric season 2,
and now they look like they're going into hardcore sci-fi in season 3.
Just keep Tudyk with his comments. That's all we want.
He has a couple great ones in the season finale. He
Beautiful.
Does. He is again, along with the sheriff, the saving grace for the show, in my opinion.
Yeah, I could do with a lot less mayor. For sure.
So, and again, they seem like they're going to be heading more in a more hardcore sci-fi away for season 3. We'll see if it works. I'm not overly thrilled with that because, like Dave said, I want the humor that we had in season 1, the fish out of water type, no pun intended.
Right.
Alien saga that we got in season 1. That's what I want back again. So,
and if you can't do that, then end it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, unfortunately, season 2 of Resident Alien falls into that ambiguous area of 2.5 frenzies for me when it comes to TV shows. When you drop into 2.5, for me, that's the barest of recommendations. It's kind of like the FX show I watch, Breeders, where I'll watch it, but the minute they screw up a couple episodes or they bore me to tears or they go off on a tangent that I don't like, I'm going to drop it. 2.5 is where I go, you better be really careful because I might have liked what you did in the past. I'm not sure I like where you're going. You better right the ship. Otherwise, you're losing the maestro.
There you go. Not bad.
All right, some TV and streaming news before we get into our moments of silence and our dumbasses.
Yeah, I got nothing except NCIS restarted, so that's the one thing I watch with my mom.
You're such a good boy.
A
good boy.
And it's, like I said, it's not horrendous. It's gotten a little funnier, not quite as serious with the change of cast, so...
I'm so done with network TV. There's barely anything I watch on network TV anymore. Barely. I still watch the Goldbergs, but I usually wait until I got 5 or 6 episodes accumulated and just knock them all out at once.
Although Young Sheldon and then Ghosts restarted, so we'll see how those go.
The commercials for Ghosts, I can't stand them. And I know it's not, it can't be an indictment on the show. It's not a reflection on the show, but boy, they pick the dumbest scenes in the show on the commercials.
Yeah.
If I got to watch the effeminate revolutionary soldier talking about gasping anymore, I'm going to puke. Sorry, but that is not good marketing.
No, it's not.
You are not convincing people like me to watch the show, even though Dave says it's funny and I trust him.
It's got its moments.
I'm not going to watch it.
There are some clunker times. Now, I'm trying to convince my wife that we need to watch the British version, which is supposed to be so much better.
Oh, there's a British version. That's interesting.
Yep. Of course we stole something from there.
Yeah, because God forbid,
The Office.
God forbid we'd come up with a new idea.
Exactly.
Speaking of which...
You like that segue for you?
Yeah, you helped me out there. Weren't we just discussing Peaky Blinders?
Yes. Off air that I was getting ready to watch start the last season the other night while ironing, and I got sucked into the Munsters instead.
There you go. Well, did you know, again, talking about how nobody in Hollywood or even overseas can come up with an original idea, especially when it comes to Broadway. Did you know there has been a Peaky Blinders dance theater spin-off?
Oh, come on. No. Hell to the effing no. That is the stupidest ass idea I have ever freaking heard. It is not a Broadway show. Not even remotely close.
Dave, I am not kidding.
Oh my God.
It's wrapping up overseas, and they're hoping to bring it to Broadway soon.
What stupid effing moron thought this would be a good idea?
I don't know, but I'm waiting. I'm just waiting for John Wick the musical.
Oh, God.
Because they can't come up with anything original.
Oh, my God.
So all they do is take a hit movie or take a hit TV show and turn it into a musical.
Oh, my brain frickin' hurts.
Yeah, look it up, buddy.
Oh, my
God.
It up.
The Peaky Blinders dance theater spinoff.
That is so stupid.
Playing over in the UK.
That is so damn stupid.
I'm surprised they haven't started Animal Kingdom, the musical.
Oh, Jesus.
You're a mean one, time. Mrs. Smurf. You're a nasty, nasty hoe. You abuse your children nightly.
You strung your daughter out.
Mrs. Smurf. Maybe we should make it. Maybe Sports Frenzy presents Animal Kingdom the music.
Oh, God.
All right. You working in the library system. I know we don't talk about him a lot. We don't. I know you probably have read a little bit. I've read a little bit of his books, but he's not like one of our favorite authors, but Harlan Coben. When Harlan Coben started out, his big series was the sports agent / detective Myron Bolitar.
Right.
And I read a couple of the books early on.
Couldn't get into them.
They are now making a series on Netflix of Myron Bolitar.
Okay.
I'm kind of intrigued by this. I did not dislike the books. I thought they were fine. They just weren't enough to grab me and get me to read the whole series.
They didn't hook me into wanting to continue.
Right.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see.
What I may have to reread the first one.
Kind of like with The Lincoln Lawyer. I know they did that series, and that's still going on Netflix.
Yeah.
That was another one where I've been kind of intrigued with it.
I'm not sure that I haven't started it. I don't know if I want to. If Prime would have done it, the same crew who did Bosch, then I would have been more hooked, knowing how well they did Bosch. But at some point, I'll get around to it.
Well, we've already established how much of a fan of Paramount Plus Dave is. He's bitter because he can't watch Beavis and Butthead, but otherwise, he, of course, hates it.
And then, of course, it's CBS pulling decent shows off network TV onto Paramount. Greedy bastards that they are.
What, Navy SEALs and...
No, Evil.
Yeah.
The hell with the Navy SEALs show. That was just kind of I watched it once.
And I am going to start watching Evil again. I've seen the first season, and that's, of course, when they pulled it, moved it to Paramount Plus. Well, it's official now. I think maybe we discussed this months and months and months ago when it was just a rumor. Frasier is coming back on Paramount Plus. Kelsey Grammer is bringing back Frasier Crane in a brand new series. We'll see how that goes. I might try it. I did like the character, not so much the show itself.
There were moments with the show.
Right. Like the dad. Liked Eddie the dog.
Yep.
Didn't necessarily like the brother.
Yeah.
Niles,
David Hyde Pierce.
Yeah.
Could grate on you a little bit. But no, the character Frasier was brilliant.
So we'll see what kind of setting, what kind of environment they bring him back into.
Yeah, which is
it's
odd that
since it's
CBS and Paramount got a hold of it from NBC.
Well, if it was a Paramount show, then I guess it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Who had it originally in terms of a network.
Yeah.
So, finally, before we move on to Moments of Silence, it's been confirmed. We knew it when we were kids. It was a dirty little secret that we didn't talk about. But now, in this day and age, we've got to shout it from the rooftops. No, Fight Club is cool. This is not. The new HBO Max Scooby-Doo Halloween film.
Oh, God.
Velma is confirmed to be a lesbian. We all knew it. You know it. I know it. Dave knew it when we were growing up. We all had a feeling. You looked at the pairs, who was with who in the Mystery Mobile. Kind of had suspicions about Shaggy and Scooby.
That's illegal.
In this day and age, it's probably okay. He's got his rights.
It was illegal in 25 states.
We know Fred and Daphne were doing it. But who was left for poor Velma? As she gazed at the carpet. That shag carpet. Wondering what was going to become of her life. Was she just destined to be the fifth wheel?
Oh.
And supposedly,
I guess Shaggy was just so toked up that he couldn't get it up that he left her wanting something else.
So supposedly in this new Halloween HBO Max Scooby-Doo movie, she's flirting around with an interior designer and
just stop.
So once again, something from our childhood has been completely and totally corrupted by PC Hollywood. We're not done yet. When we get to the dumbasses, I've got even more. I know this could have been a dumbass move. But like I said, I think we all kind of knew this was coming. So
yeah,
this isn't a surprise.
Surprising.
This is not a surprise. So moments of silence. You guys know I don't listen to rap music. Dave doesn't really listen to rap music. But we do know who Coolio was.
I mean, come on. Gangster's Paradise. It's a classic. It's one I enjoy.
So Coolio passed away this past week. And of course, shifting from rap music to country music, the coal miner's daughter, Loretta Lynn, passed away.
90.
And I was kind of surprised to see a story pop up on Ultimate Classic Rock today that Bret Michaels had been performing with her just a couple weeks ago doing Every Rose Has Its Thorn.
Interesting.
So.
Very cool.
Yep. Definitely one of those cool people in country music. Back again, don't want to go on my rant about old school country versus new country, but old school country was Loretta Lynn.
Yeah. Her and Patsy Cline and Tammy Wynette.
Yep. So, thoughts and prayers to Loretta Lynn and her family and friends. And then finally, shout out to Antonio Inoki. Antonio Inoki, WWE Hall of Fame wrestler, who might be most well known for his match against Muhammad Ali. Antonio Inoki fought Muhammad Ali in a promotional match, the wrestler versus the boxer, back in the day.
Wow.
Again, Hall of Famer for the WWE. He was a quote-unquote fake wrestler, but he was legitimate also, and that's why the match with Muhammad Ali, of course, again, promotional, not serious, but one of those fun things they did back in the, I think it was early 70s.
Yeah.
Early to mid 70s.
Kind of the impetus between
Rocky and Thunderlips.
Thunderlips.
Rocky and Thunderlips, yes. All right. It's that time, kids. Time to pivot. Got a lot of dumbasses for you this week. We'll see if Dave disputes. We'll see if Dave disputes any of them. If you want, we can call it yet another edition of Dumbass or Not.
And let us begin.
All right, we were just talking about how Velma is a lesbian. Well, if you went to the movie theaters this past weekend, we talked about Smile. A lot of people went to see Smile. Not so many people went to see the movie Bros, which, of course, features an entire gay and lesbian cast, headed up by one Billy Eichner. Bros made less than $5 million at the box office, despite being in over 3,000 theaters.
Yeah, and the hype that it was getting.
Rave reviews.
Yeah, guess what? People don't want to see the stuff.
But of course, if that had just been the end of the story, we wouldn't even mention it.
Right, it would have
Lots
just
of
gone.
Movies fail. Doesn't matter if they're gay, straight.
Right.
But again, the genius, quote unquote, behind this movie, Billy Eichner, who by all accounts is a raging douchebag in real life, went on Twitter, of course, again, social media, the bane of all existence, mad and frustrated that people in the Midwest and the South, especially straight people, didn't go see Bros. In fact, he got so mad, he said, "That's fine. All you homophobic weirdos, stay away from my movie. We don't want you there." Of course, great way to market and promote your movie.
Yep.
Calling anybody who didn't go see your movie opening weekend a homophobic weirdo. And of course,
how about the movie just look completely damn stupid?
How about, again, if you're subtle about it, if you bring in gay characters, Dave and I have talked about Animal Kingdom the last couple of weeks. There is a gay character in that. Doesn't bother us a bit because the way he's written makes sense. Doesn't come off as some kind of political gesturing. It's just who he is. But when you get stuff like this, when you get the angry gay man saying, "Why didn't you go see my gay movie?"
Gee, maybe if you would have made an interesting concept to the movie
and didn't start bashing after 3 days of underperforming box office all the straight people in the Midwest and the South because they didn't want to see it, maybe the problem's with you, not with the people who didn't go see your movie. Dumbass. Oh, here we go again. He wants to be president. He's the governor of California.
Oh, God.
At every turn, he seems to do something that the other 49 states can't fucking figure out. But he thinks it makes great sense.
Gavin Newsom has got to be one of the biggest dumbasses in politics.
Gavin Newsom just signed a bill. And the scary thing is, I'm hearing other states might follow suit. Restricting the use of rap lyrics in court trials. Because I guess there is a big issue with rap songs where these rappers say they're going to kill somebody and then they kill them, but they don't want the lyrics to be used as evidence against them.
Sorry, that screams premeditation.
So supposedly this new bill that he signed into law says the burden is on the court to prove that the intent is literal. So now if they actually say, like if I rapped and I said, I'm going to kill you, Dave, and then I end up killing you, I guess they could use that in the court against me. But if I said, I'm going to kill somebody who works on Sports Frenzy, and then you end up dead, they can't use that against me because it's not literal enough. And I've heard dozens upon dozens upon dozens.
This is absolutely stupid. Oh my God.
We have talked about how rap music degrades women, promotes violence, not only in the actual songs themselves, but in the culture of rap.
Yeah.
But we're going to do everything we can to protect them from being persecuted by the law.
Makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
And he wants to be president.
God.
The genius known as Gavin Newsom. I submit to you, he's a dumbass.
In more ways than one.
Now, I don't know if this one necessarily qualifies as a dumbass, but it's just funny. There's a movie coming out, and I guarantee it's going to win Oscars, and it's going to probably get Best Picture of the Year because, of course, it's about racial strife. This movie called Till, about Emmett Till.
Right.
One Whoopi Goldberg is in this movie, okay? And, of course, they've had early screenings of it to try to get the buzz generated. You know, the Academy Award buzz. An unnamed film critic reviewing Till, I guess didn't mind the movie, gave it pretty positive review, except at one point this film critic said, I did find Whoopi Goldberg's fat suit distracting. Problem is, Whoopi Goldberg wasn't wearing a fat suit. Now, she had to, of course, bring this up on The View.
Of course
and
she
say,
did.
You people know I was going through health issues. I had issues that were causing me to put on weight. And, of course, don't rip on me. Review the movie. Don't single me out. I just find it's funny because I just hate Whoopi Goldberg so much. This inadvertent slam on her is just awesome. Hysterical.
That's great. That's funny. That's really funny.
Of course, we have to have politics. But I'm weaving the world of entertainment into this dumbass take on politics. I feel, number one, bad for the people of Pennsylvania, because if they got to choose between Dr. Oz and this idiot, John Fetterman.
Oh, Jesus.
Listen, I've seen pictures of John Fetterman. He doesn't even look professional.
No, he doesn't.
What the hell happened to putting on a suit and a tie? This guy
looks
shows
like
up
he's
in a
coming
hood.
Off of a bender.
Yeah. He looks like, at best, he's a manager for a UFC fighter.
Maybe. He looks more like a manager of Taco Bell.
A pampered trust fund baby. So you got to choose here from the Democratic side, John Fetterman, or the Republican side, Dr. Oz. And again, I don't envy this decision for you.
That is a no-win situation for that poor state. Who's the write-in candidate?
But Fetterman is the one that made the crucial mistake, pissing off the mouse, or as we like to call it, the rat.
Yes.
He put out a post I believe on social media, of a Simpsons character, some kind of corrupt, idiotic doctor, I guess. I'm not a Simpsons guy. Sorry. I don't know the character. I'm sure you Simpsons fans know who I'm talking about. But the problem is, when Fetterman put out this little meme or whatever, making fun of Dr. Oz, comparing him to this Simpsons doctor. He didn't get permission from Disney, who now owns The Simpsons, now owns that Fox property. So once again, take the lesser of two evils, people in Pennsylvania, and take Dr. Oz, and then find somebody better and vote him out in 4 or 6 years, whatever it is.
Oh, God. Anybody with a brain who would do well to serve this country is too damn smart to stay out of the shit that is our political system.
Finally, last dumbass. I'm finding a lot of insidious PC crap in candy commercials lately. I've talked about M&Ms.
The inclusive purple.
Now that you've got the inclusive M&M stuff with the guy with the plant tattoos on his face, and you got the mime who you have to invite him to the office party, even though he's going to ruin it. Now we've got the Halloween commercial for Reese's and Kit Kat, where the mom opens the door and the two boys are there. She puts out the tray of the Reese's and the Kit Kat, and they say trick or treat, and they both take candy. Girl comes up wearing Reese's and Kit Kat. The mom goes, "Oh, you've got a wonderful costume. You deserve both." Lets the girl take one of each. The girl says, "See ya, boys." Walks off. The mom smugly slams the door in the boys' faces. Man-hating PC bullshit.
That's awful.
And we're done with the weekend edition, kids. That's Dave. I'm Kev. We'll see you next week.